Hello again, welcome back to Corruption Incorporated. I'm ironically your host. I'm tired. The last couple of days I've been working hard and not on what I want to be working. I'm tired enough that this is the second video I've made. I haven't done timestamps and posted the one I made the other day about the new Coinbase arbitration agreement. If you're just joining us, this is the first one you watched. I'm an American citizen. I got a really weird name. I'm trying to help people understand that without giving legal advice, you don't have to be an attorney to fight back against what's happening. I'm trying to help people understand that even somebody like me who has no formal training in law can really do something. I've been fighting back for almost 8 years, mostly behind the scenes, and most of the help that I've given to people, large numbers of people, I can't officially talk about. As I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, and I gave my word, and I keep it to the best of my ability, because that's part of what I understand about what it is to have integrity. I wanted to make one more this week. I don't know, tomorrow I got something to do in the morning that's very active. I'm going to probably be pretty wiped out tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have time. I tried to make a quick video the other day, 1 minute. I filmed exactly 1 minute, but I realized when I looked at it that I was wearing sunglasses and that it might be possible to figure out my location from the reflection in the sunglasses, and I'm not okay with that. It's not lost on me that this is not exactly the safest thing one could be doing. And I'd like to be able to do this for as long as possible. We're not that far away from American citizens getting taken somewhere. We got some really crazy people in positions of authority right now that are openly volunteering the idea of taking voices of opposition and putting them in prison in other countries, or so I've heard in the last couple of days. Today's April 18th, 2025. Yesterday evening, I believe, Time magazine published a full opinion written by I believe it's a federal appeals court judge. I think his name is Wilkinson. It was well written, well said. The gist of it was that if we allow this to happen to someone, the situation with this poor man who's in a prison in Central America with no semblance of due process. Again, if you're just joining us, I've lately been talking about how I'm engaged in legal warfare against 3 multi-billion-dollar companies. I got one big case in trial court. I got a case in arbitration. The arbitration case is against Coinbase, the cryptocurrency exchange. It's one of the more corrupt companies I've ever encountered. And lately, in retaliation, I allege to me finding out that the lawyers that this company's hired, their offices in New York and Virginia are not on Google Maps. I got very angry about that. And I outed them on this channel and on LinkedIn, and they retaliated by threatening me with groundless threats of a lawsuit for harassment, extortion, defamation, and they sent me a cease and desist letter, and I lit it on fire on camera on a previous episode and ate popcorn while it burned. Because I know the law well enough to know that those are baseless threats. They're trying to intimidate me because they think, my opinion, I'm allowed to voice my opinion in this country, at least still at this time. My opinion is that they're looking down their noses at me. They don't realize how foolish their behavior is. And as I've said to them many, many, many times now, there's no future in which your children are not going to suffer from taking money from a company like this that I can prove is stealing from millions of people and stealing from the needy more than the wealthy. I can prove that Coinbase has written algorithms into their software, at least when I was trading with them a few years ago, that they're designed to actively encourage breaking trades into smaller amounts and then preying on those people by taking a larger percentage than they promised to take from certain kinds of transactions, which when you do the math, and there's billions of trades governed by this kind of software, this predatory software, they're making an incredible amount of money. And what I found out is that most of my gains from my trades, I put all my money together and started swing trading as I learned how to read the candle charts, learned how to read patterns in the market, and I figured out when things were going to pop. And a couple of times I made like $300 in like 10 minutes. And when I pulled my money, their algorithm didn't reset. So they took like 200 something dollars off the top like that. And that's how I caught them. I've got like over 1,000 screenshots. And I talked last time about how I'm going to go more into arbitration. I've got a little dry erase board, but I'm not going to do that right now. I just wanted to make one video about this threat of violating 14th Amendment rights and due process rights. And the Coinbase lawyers are sort of, taking after the Trump administration, frankly. They tried to throw my due process rights out the window recently. They said that let's have an emergency hearing. He's harassing us. I'm not harassing them. I'm trying to get through to them and say, look, what you're doing is very foolish. You have to be careful taking money from a company like this. I don't think you realize that you're on the wrong side of the law in history on this. This is not good. To be associated with a company that's doing this and to be actively hiding your law firm from public scrutiny is a very damning piece of evidence that I found about you guys. It's like you know that you're doing something wrong. I've been studying this problem my whole life. I've said this before. I've put over 1 million words, I estimate, on paper journaling since I left higher education, since I left university in the United States. In the last 15, almost 16 years, I've really spent a lot of time and energy on this and trying to figure out how are we gonna fix this. And the only conclusion I can arrive at is that this is never going to get fixed from the top down, so to speak, from any government across the globe, legislating some law that is going to force us to see the sense in being equal and treating each other as equals. It's got to be large-scale social movement, which does mean that you watching this need to do something. Now, when we get sick, we have to know what we're sick with, like in our bodies. Oh, I've got this, I've got the flu, I've got COVID, heavens forbid. But in order to get better, we have to have a diagnosis. When a society is sick, talking about it, in my opinion, is diagnosing it. And shining a light on shadows is the fastest and most efficient way to get them to flee. They just go away. or they start to scurry, start to squirm and wriggle like these Coinbase lawyers are freaking out. Throw my right of due process out the window. That was a very foolish move. I'm not going to say why, but I just don't think they realize what's about to happen. The administrative body of this arbitration case is not buying it. Doesn't look like they're buying it. I'm showing them how far gone these people are, how much they're trying to throw someone's rights out the window, and how they've violated not only the terms of their own client's arbitration agreement with me, the consumer, but also the policies that they submitted to in order to force me out of my rights to waive my right to class action. I can't be a part of a class action lawsuit. And now what I said in the last episode or the one I haven't even published yet, is that now they got this new arbitration agreement that's basically saying like, well, it's almost like they're admitting that they're committing mass securities fraud. If you have any action against us for securities fraud, you got to take us to court first. Like, I mean, why don't you just go ahead and admit what you're doing to the public? Because this is absurd. It's preposterous. It's like, oh, there's not a red flag here waving like something shady's going on. You can't even take us to arbitration. You got to take us to trial court first. Well, that's a huge problem with a company like Coinbase that I believe is based in Delaware, because to compel jurisdiction on them, I mean, I guess you possibly could, but it's a big problem. They're a foreign defendant. And if you're trying to take them to court, you gotta be able to compel jurisdiction in like a state civil court, and that's a whole other bag of cats that I had to go through with my big trial court case. And it's also really expensive, and it takes a very long time. Exemplia gratis, my trial court case against the real estate companies Coldwell Banker and Compass Realty that I filed last year. I have reasonable, or I can make an educated guess that it might be the largest civil suit ever brought without an attorney's help in the history of the state of Colorado, and maybe one of the largest ever brought in the history of this entire nation. I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm just trying to help you understand that we can do something. We the people. We are really in charge in this country. We that's the whole idea, is that the American people are governing ourselves and that our representatives are of us. And I've said in previous episodes, this is so upside down right now that I've heard recently that like every single person in Congress is a millionaire. That's absurd. It should not be like that. My trial court case against these real estate companies and 3 of their realtors, who I haven't named yet, I will name once we really get into that, has entered, let me see, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, is in its 9th month right now. And I went to court yesterday because I still haven't gotten a letter from the judge on what he's going to do for their motions to dismiss the whole thing. He's had almost 100 days. And the clerk said to me yesterday, still nothing. It's still in his box, in his list of things to rule on. It was originally scheduled to have a ruling on March 13th. And the last thing that was filed, or last window they had to respond to a motion I filed to fix a typographical error in something I filed in December, was January 13th. So it took 2 months and then still now another month, because it's a massive lawsuit. It's like a 9-figure lawsuit, and I did it without help. My hair fell out. If you watched the first episode, I had hair down to my shoulders. This is really, really the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire adult life. I'd rather go back to high school and take 2 AP exams on the same day like I did one time, and I went face planted on my bed after that. And if you're wondering, I got a 5 on the first one and then 4 on the one in the afternoon. I'm convinced I might have gotten a 5 on biology if I hadn't had to take physics in the morning, but they scheduled them on the same day because almost nobody took those 2 classes at the same time. I just happened to, for a long story, but that was a pretty hard academic day. But this what I just had to do was on a whole nother level. Felt like most of my life was training for what I had to do in the last year and a half. Anyway, I filed this case August 6th last year. It's April 18th and we still don't have a ruling just on a motion to dismiss. That means that the case is not even what's known as at issue yet. Now, I take it as a good sign. If he was going to throw the whole thing out, he would have done it already. But the point is, we all have a right in this country to due process. It should be fair. And arbitration, I said in the last episode, which I haven't quite published yet, was thousands of years old. It was designed originally to put people on an equal footing and avoid all this delay and these costs of going through the litigation system. And now we got Coinbase lawyers and our current presidency, the current administration, trying to just throw that out the window. And I think it's like Looney Tunes grade madness. It's like comical almost how insane this is. Because the rule of law must be respected. This is what the judge just wrote. The rule of law must be respected. These checks and balances that exist in our society. Otherwise, things can happen that have happened recently to some of our greatest champions, in my opinion, in this century. I'm going to talk about one of them today. I'm not going to film for too long here. I mean, I always say that, and then I end up doing it's 17 and a half minutes already, but I got a lot to talk about here. Like I told you, I'm not kidding. I don't lie. I can't really live with myself. High school, I mentioned just now, where I took 2 AP exams on one day. They kick you out for telling one lie or for copying someone's homework one time. If the student government decides that you're guilty of cheating or even stealing, if you even took a Reese's peanut butter cup from somebody one time and they've caught you, they'd expel you. My roommate was expelled. He was the first person expelled from the school and from my class that year when I was a freshman. He lied. And he robbed me on the way out, I'm pretty sure, because one of my favorite ring back then disappeared. I want to talk a little bit about one of our great champions. This is an issue of the New Yorker that I just so happened to find a few weeks ago at my favorite hang spot. It had just almost felt like it was left there for me because I don't subscribe, and I've talked recently about copyright issues, and I'm not gonna break any copyright laws here, at least as far as I can tell. I've scoured this thing looking for that there's a translator that I could potentially say that I violated his copyright, but this is published by the man himself, and I don't think he had an exclusive contract with the New Yorker, so I'm going to say I have very great respect for the New Yorker. Some of my greatest teachers in that high school I mentioned shared articles from New Yorker stories and things like that with us, and I'm a big fan of this publication. So if I'm breaking any sort of copyright, I will take this video down. I'm not trying to unduly ruffle feathers here. As I've said many times in the last 7.5, 8 years I've been fighting back, I'm a threat to nobody except the corrupt. But this guy right here, this guy, he died a little over a year ago. This is one of our great champions in this world. This guy, his name is Alexei Navalny. And since I'm reading his words, and since I believe that he would allow me to do this, if he were alive and I could ask his permission, I'm going to read a little bit about this. If you don't know about this guy, he was poisoned with one of these modern next generation nerve toxins on a plane in 2020. He's convinced that it was perpetrated by the Russian Secret Service and by the president of Russia, a man whose name I don't even want to mention, as I'm so opposed to what he stands for and the stories that I heard about him, and even a little wigged out to even be talking about him, frankly, because just, yeah. But this guy, he didn't run and hide. He didn't run and hide, and he went back to Russia after he was treated for this horrible nerve toxin that he was dosed with. And he ended up dying in prison after 3 years. And he wrote about it. And this is entries from his diary that he kept that made it out, and his team, people were helping him, and his loved ones. And so, since I can't seem to find anything about whether there was a translator, I just want to share something from the last entry, which was January 17th, 2024, last year. It says, the last thing it says is he died on February 16th, 2024. He didn't give up. He didn't want to hide away. He went back because he got it. Like I've been saying to these Coinbase lawyers again and again lately, I'm sending them a bunch of emails every few days, trying to reach them. I'm not trying to harass them. They can add the sender to their junk email list, but I've been doing this for weeks and weeks now. They come out with this new arbitration agreement. It's like it's gonna possibly hurt a lot of people, and I'm like, oh man, this is like, I don't know if it had anything to do with me or if it had everything to do with me, but it's like lancing the boil and all this goo comes out now and all this stuff. It's like, I don't know, but the timing is really weird, and the timing of finding this magazine is weird. And if you know anything about me, if you know me personally, you know I got this whole thing about coincidences, that there's no such thing. This symbol of mine means miracle. It means no coincidences, no accidents. I think that random action is one of the only things in the entire cosmos that is actually impossible. I believe science supports that if we really, really look into it. I believe that accidents and mistakes are fundamentally impossible, and that they only exist in the realm of human thought, just like the idea of hierarchy exists only in the realm of human thought. This is just a mountain of particles here, and all just jiggling, dancing. So is this magazine, so are you, so is this phone. From a higher awareness perspective, it's all equal. At one point in time, science shows us it was all together, all equal. Only human beings have glazed over this hierarchy, better, worse, this dualistic way of looking at it. Now, that's a whole different discussion, philosophical discussion, but the timing of things is very, very interesting. Serendipity is one of the most interesting phenomena in life, in my opinion. I've had a very personal and visceral experience with it. My whole, call it spiritual awakening, happened with something that was astronomically, beyond astronomically serendipitous. But this guy, he got it. And he said this. He said, I have my country and my convictions. I don't want to give up my country or betray it. If your convictions mean something, you must be prepared to stand up for them and make sacrifices if necessary. And if you're not prepared to do that, you have no convictions. You just think you do. But those are not convictions and principles. They're only thoughts in your head. I wanted to read one more thing he said. Where is it? This echoes what I've been saying. This guy, get a little emotional thinking about what he did, how much courage he had, that he stood up to this, knowing what he was facing, knowing he was facing some of this, the darkest powers that have ever walked the face of this earth, in my opinion. And he understood, it's bigger than me in this one life. Two paragraphs later, he said, I took part in elections and vied for leadership positions. The call for me is different. I traveled the length and breadth of the country, declaring everywhere from the stage, quote, I promise that I won't let you down. I won't deceive you and I won't abandon you, end quote. I would say the same thing to the United States. I could be fabulously wealthy in a few years. Who knows? This stuff pans out in my favor and may end up coming to pass. Might not ever be able to talk about it if it comes to pass. You know, settlement is a victory, but I might have to sacrifice my First Amendment rights, and if I would do that as a means to an end, because I would be able to maybe help a lot of people. I promise that I won't let you down, I won't deceive you, and I won't abandon you. End quote. By coming back to Russia, I fulfilled my promise to the voters. There need to be some people in Russia who don't lie to them. It's the same in our country. There need to be people here who don't lie. When we think of politicians today, we think about lies, a lot of us. Isn't that the common impression, that politicians lie? That's not good. He goes on, it turned out that in Russia, to defend the right to have and not to hide your beliefs, you have to pay by sitting in a solitary cell. Of course, I don't like being there, but I will not give up either my ideas or my homeland. My convictions are not exotic, sectarian, or radical. On the contrary, everything I believe in is based on science and historical experience. This is really powerful, and that's why it's what I really wanted to read, but I wanted to have that lead into it. The next thing he says is, those in power should change. The best way to elect leaders is through honest and free elections. Everyone needs a fair legal system. Corruption destroys the state. There should be no censorship. The future lies in these principles. But for the present, sectarians and marginals are in power. They have absolutely no ideas. Their only goal is to cling to power. Total hypocrisy allows them to wrap themselves in any cover. So polygamists have become conservatives. Members of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union have become orthodox. Owners of golden passports and offshore accounts are aggressive patriots. Lies and nothing but lies. That's not very much different from what's happening in our country. Everybody's in Congress is a millionaire. Are you kidding me right now? I just did a 3-parter on how people like Mitch McConnell, their state hasn't done very well while he's been a sitting senator. Meanwhile, he's fabulously wealthy and he's a success? You gotta be kidding me right now. Then he says it will crumble and collapse. And then he says the name of the leader over there, puts an ist on, and I'm not going to say that guy's name, state. The state under that guy is not sustainable. One day we will look at it and it won't be there. Victory is inevitable. But for now, we must not give up and we must stand by our beliefs. I guess the point that I want to make today with this, I didn't really have a goal here for this one, excuse me. It's been a lot of changing weather and allergy season, and my nose is like running like a faucet. Excuse me. Yes, I do weep into the American flag, and sometimes I blow my nose into it. And I've had people say, people might not like that. And then I tell them, you know where I found this? I found this in one of our state's capitals on the ground. This handkerchief. And people were walking all over it. And I was the one who said, "Excuse me." And I bent down and picked this up and washed it. So with that as the context, I don't think anybody has any right to tell me that it's not okay for me to do that, because this was on the ground and it never belongs there. We're not supposed to let this be on the ground. And people were ignoring it. I didn't ignore it. I said, that is not cool. I picked it up and now it's my handkerchief and I can sneeze into it if I want to. I get upset with people. I don't berate them, but I get upset with people how often so many people want to point fingers and say, oh, it's this group of people. Oh, it's the Democrats. Oh, it's the Republicans. That's not a clearly defined group of people, guys. There's people like me who identify as moderates, so you bring that into discussion with these polarized mindsets and you get like the blink, 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 like they have no idea what that means. It means some things we look at maybe tend more towards conservative views, maybe some things we look at tend more towards liberal views. It's somewhere in the middle. It's a good thing right now to have people with moderate perspectives. I guess the point I wanted to make today is that there is something we can do. There is something. I'm not very good at promoting myself. I'm not too great at finishing big projects. Like I've been this close to finishing my first book for a while, and I keep doing this stuff and writing legal stuff because I don't know, for some reason I'm not good at that, and I'm not good at promoting myself as an artist or as a person. But there is something we can do. You can help. You can pass this around. I don't know if this is getting throttled on YouTube or whatever, if my traffic is getting diminished. Someone looked at this and said, oh, no, not that. I felt like that was happening, especially in the later days when I was on the platform formerly known as Twitter. I took a cue from the author Stephen King, and once he left, I left. It's totally different now. There's something really not right about it. You can tell if you've been on there occasionally for years. I used to have constructive discussions. I even used to mess with Donald Trump on there. I can prove it a couple of times. I'm reasonably certain that he read what I wrote, because he would go on TV the next day and I'd be like, oh my God, text my friends like, you got to see this. And I'd screenshot what I had written, and I wasn't doing it to like hurt the guy. Frankly, I was asking him a bunch of times, like 100 times in a row, if he's an evil man. So really, have you ever thought about it? I'd say, like, seriously, man. And that was years ago now. But I don't know, but there is something we can do. We can talk about this. But I'm dismayed and I'm chagrined. I'm going around and I hear college age people, and a lot of them are activating, and that's really good, and I feel a lot less alone than I used to. Actually, a few that I know are waiting for me to submit something about the work that I've been doing, and I keep having trouble working on it because I've been overworked lately and I'm tired. But there are a lot of us that are not there yet. And again, I don't take their inventory over it when it comes to light that somebody just doesn't really care or something, or is just not able to face it. Everybody has a right to live their lives the way they see fit. My go-to advice comes from the original Star Wars film. You must do what you feel is right, of course. If you feel it's right for you to do nothing, okay, I accept that. But when I hear, like somebody I know that I see quite frequently said to me recently that they admire what I'm doing because, and this is words I'll probably never forget now, because said I don't have the patience or the care to do what you're doing. Well, to be American, in my opinion, is to have that. To not realize how imperative it is that we actually do something. And maybe there is something this person does that I don't really know about it, but from what I see, not much. Just an example. Just, prefers to like watch like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, frankly. And I'm like, wow, all right, hey, I mean, you're getting by, stressful job, okay, I get it. But the fact that not enough of us are doing something, at least talking about it, the fact that someone I know I see regularly is not even like, oh, well, what's your channel? Like, maybe I could just hit subscribe. I don't mind getting an email when you post something new. I don't even have to watch it, but maybe I could tell someone about it. Even just that would do something. Like I said, I'm not very good at promoting myself, but even that, I got to expand my campaign here on Instagram here in a day or two. I've been meaning to do this, and for some reason I just haven't done it yet. When the time comes, I'm going to expand, and I'm going to say the same thing. I guess I wanted to get a certain amount of content posted. This is the 19th video that I've made that I'm going to publish. This one's a little bit longer again. But, not enough of us are standing up, and that's why things are happening like happened to Mr. Navalny. That's why I'm getting, dragged over the coals by lawyers like this, because they in my opinion of them, is they're like, you're staring down their crinkled noses at me like, well, who does he think he is? He's not an attorney. I don't have to be an attorney in this country to stand up for myself. And if enough of us did something like what I've been doing, then big companies would actually be running scared, instead of figuring out over time more and more that they're like kind of above the law and they're not really being held accountable. And they're schmoozing with the politicians, and now suddenly all the politicians have millions of dollars, or at least $1 million, like, and people aren't drawing the dotted line between what's happening and going to protests about the tariffs, and there's like people with big, huge, like, Trump face smacked onto a red, white, and blue, flag, like driving around with their busted pickup trucks, missing teeth, filming, laughing at the people who are standing up for what really really matters and makes sense is like, this is insane what's happening. And there's these people that are like jokers just driving around like laughing about it all burning and falling apart because they're so misguided. Earlier I said I filmed a 1-minute video the other day, and then I was concerned about disclosing my whereabouts, so I'm not going to post that one. The video I made it like I had groceries with me, and I was walking, and I put my stuff down, and I was so outraged because I had been in this business, and they had Fox News on the television in this business. And I happened to be in there for just a couple of minutes, and with all this going on with the tariffs and this, poor man in El Salvadorian prison, and they're paying the president of that country to keep him there, basically. And he's like, ha ha, there's nothing I can do, ha 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 ha. It's like, I mean, it's that crazy. There's 77 million people apparently that voted for this. Not as many now, I'm sure there's a whole bunch, maybe a couple million of like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, but this is the problem. Bless their hearts, like, it's very hard for people who aren't well educated to understand that they're not well educated. It's hard to help ignorant people understand that they're ignorant, because they just ignore us. Call you a radical libtard or something like that, and just go back to watching, Fox News. And what I saw on Fox News horrified me. Now, sure, yeah, you might be able to say, oh, well, they do all kinds of things, but what are they talking about? What was it, a Wednesday? What are they talking about? All this stuff going on that's really kind of momentous right now, to say the least. What are they talking about? The little bit of time I happened to be exposed to Fox News for a couple of seconds this week on like nationally syndicated television, pumped into millions of people's homes. What are they talking about? The director of the 1990s film Home Alone 2 was apparently saying he would take Donald Trump out of that film. There was a cameo in the Plaza Hotel. The Macaulay Culkin's character is walking through and Trump comes by. That's what they think is important to be talking about. And they're not just having like a 10-second, in passing. They're having a whole discussion about it with like 5 pundits on there. Man, it just about boiled my blood, flash boiled my blood like a meteor hitting the ocean, I'm telling you. Because I'm like, there's millions of people who are watching this. And there's millions of people who are just not understanding that this is like some sort of misdirection. Oh, maybe they're reporting a little bit on this, but they're not understanding that this is like, hey, look over here, don't look at this. Nothing to see here. Haha, look at this. Home Alone 2. Remember that? Wasn't that fun? I mean, and they don't understand. And now they're trying to take apart the education system in this country, and to push us further in the direction of poor education because people are easier to control. They don't understand that they're being lied to and manipulated, and they're too proud to understand what's happening to them. They think it's funny. I was just the other day walking around. There's protests going on for the tariffs. It was last weekend. It was about a week ago, 6 days ago. Yeah, it was Saturday the 12th? Yeah, Saturday the 12th, I think. It's big protests nationwide, and I'm walking around and looking at this and impressed at how many people are out and about. And there's people driving around with big, president's face on top of the American flag. Like, and they're actually paying money for that. And they got it in the bed of their busted red pickup truck, and they're literally missing teeth driving around and filming, like laughing about it. I'm like, you poor people, you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand how dangerous this is. It's a similar thing with these lawyers. Oh, he's harassing us. Throw his right of due process out the window. We need an emergency hearing with an unconfirmed arbitrator. Civil rights violations much? But people don't know the law. And what's clear to me now is that a lot of people can be intimidated like this. When this first started out, Coinbase, they wanted to talk to me on the phone. I didn't put my current phone number on there because I'm not interested in talking to them on the phone. You want to talk to me, you put it in writing. They don't want to do that. Ooh, no. So to know educated people like I do, and all they're talking about is, some ridiculous reality TV show, in my opinion, it's trash TV. A lot of it. I mean, hey, all right, you like it? Okay, fine. Do what feels right for you. But or young people, college-age people, and all I can talk about is, whatever was happening on this rave or this video on TikTok and this and that. It has nothing to do with what's really happening right now. You might call yourselves Americans because you were born here, but you're kind of just like he said, like Navalny said, if you're not prepared to make sacrifices, even the sacrifice of the headache it might give you to talk about this stuff and hear someone talk about it in your day-to-day life, you might have ideas, but if your convictions mean something, you must be prepared to stand up for them and make sacrifices if necessary. I've made a ton of sacrifices for this. I lost my hair. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm not even going to go into the amount of sacrifices I've made. Actually, I will say one thing. One of my friends, 17, 18 years, a couple of my long-term friendships have ended during the time I've been saddled with this case, and stressed out so much. I'm like 40 pounds heavier almost than I was at the end of 2023 when I was really in the deep dark of this. But really, I got down to like 138 pounds. I weigh like 175 right now. A friend of mine that I lost, and I overreacted. I mean, it was kind of on its way out, but I saw him today on the street. I don't know if he noticed me. It was kind of inclement weather a little bit, and I kind of had my head down, but I felt bad. I mean, I knew this person a long time. He looked a lot older today too. I almost couldn't believe it was him. And he might not have noticed me because of my hair is gone, but I just thought, man, I love this person. It was the last thing I said to him. Part of me will always love you, but I think we've grown apart over the years. But this is a person that is similarly not really prepared to make sacrifices. And like Navalny said, if you're not prepared to do that, you have no convictions. You just think you do. But those are not convictions and principles. They're only thoughts in your head. And people that say things to me like, I don't have the patience and care to do what you're doing. Well, you might have good ideas, or you might even go to church, and you might hear, "Oh, love thy neighbor as thyself," and "Ooh, doesn't that sound nice? Ooh, doesn't that sound nice?" And don't do things to others you don't want them doing unto you. But it's just going in one ear and out the other. If it's not actually coming to the point of thinking about other people, if you got your head up your phone and you're not even considering when you're going through a door, oh, maybe there's someone behind me. It's just a small example, but if we're not moving towards other directed thinking, we're not really growing as people very much. I'm not saying we don't have a bad day here and there. I was pretty upset yesterday when I went to court and there was no decision. Even just to have to dip a pinky toe back into this stuff bothered me a lot. And I went on a long walk and went to the gym and worked out and hit the sauna, and I came home and I was still really upset. I was kind of upset today also, because it's just like there's just no end in sight. It's just hanging over me. And meanwhile, these real estate agents that did this to me and my family and my friends, the proximate causes of this is the legal phrase, as I've alleged, and also the situation with Coinbase. All the stress this puts on people to be subjected to this kind of greed and this madness of these people that have just lost their minds to this rat race of wanting more and more and more and more, and not realizing how insane it is to be trying to, stick their tongues out at the rule of law that's keeping us all safely coexisting here. These people are still out there, and they're able to still go and potentially hurt other people. Like this real estate agent that shook my hand and offered to help me deal with all the criminal activity that was going on while they were showing the property where I lived. And then the second I'm out the door, he's like on the phone with another person at a different company, making me out to be some kind of a violent criminal after he offered to help me. Again, like I just got done telling the guy about how I'm legally competent, and I didn't talk to him like, as firmly as this. It was a little uncomfortable. I never met this person before. Like, really want to lay into the guy, like, hey man, like, look, like, I'm gonna really like mess you up in court. You don't stop this. Like, I was trying to be polite about it. I wasn't quite as shrewd and ruthless as I feel now that I've had to learn trial court procedure in under a year last year to bring this massive 9-figure lawsuit to bear. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of rambling here, and I don't really care right now. This one's longer probably than any other video I've made. I don't care, because like this guy, Navalny, I don't know how much longer I'm here, but I get it. And I hope you get it too. If you're watching this, I hope that you share this. I hope that you tell your friends about this. At the very least, you could help that way. If it's too much for you, or you don't have any situation where you feel like you're being taken advantage of in your life, or you're being subjected to corrupt influence that's hurting you and hurting your relationships and hurting your relationship with your family and your friends, and don't have necessarily grounds to pursue action, or even the wherewithal to pursue action, or the knowledge of how, I'm trying to do something about that for you, so that people tomorrow don't have to go through stuff like this guy went through, like getting poisoned on an airplane, and then recovering, trying to go back to his country to show this is what it means to have convictions, to have principles. It's not about this. I read from Moby Dick recently in one of my earlier episodes about how Melville was saying, gave the words to the narrator, to the main character Ishmael, and he thinks that what I really am is more like my shadow. This what we are is more than this. It's also what Yoda said. I forgot the first line of that when I did it recently, but he says, size matters not. Judge me by my size, do you? And well, you should not, for the force is my ally, and a powerful ally it is. And he goes on, and he says, in luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And he pinches Luke's arm when he says that. It's just a mountain of particles. It takes a lot of training to get to the point where this computer starts to realize it's not running the show, where it starts to understand that it's not really in control of anything. When that happens, a person is liberated, starts to be able to do things and stand up, not be as afraid of the consequences to the single organism. Starts to become powerful, like this person was very powerful. This guy is a really great champion of this world. And he was lost last year. Who knows what he could have done if he had not been cut off. He's 45 years old. He's not that much older than you or me. I don't care if you're 21 years old watching this. 24 years in the context of the history of life on this planet, it doesn't even qualify to call it a blink of an eye. It's nothing. It's a twitch of an eyelash on its way to being the start of a blink of an eye. Not even. It's just like a tiny little it's not other people's fault. It's like I said, it's just an idea that I've been fighting. This idea that, I have more than you, I'm right. It's Balrog. It's not Coinbase, it's not Coldwell Banker, it's not Compass. They're just symptoms of an education problem. I've been saying that since the first episode. And you can do something. More important than you helping draw attention to me and what I'm doing. More important, and I've said this also previously, is keep your side of the street clean. Don't stoop to lying, cheating, and stealing. Don't look at what's happening in our current administration and think that this is giving license to licentiousness. Don't think that this is, it's carte blanche now on immoral behavior. It's do what you want, I mean, you can do what you want, but we cannot measure the ripple effects of one act of kindness or of one act of cruelty. And with every action, with every moment, whether we choose to be kind and whether we choose to think less of ourselves and more of others, or think more of ourselves and less of others, whether we choose to give in to greed or we choose to rise above it, for instance, we are creating either a brighter or a darker world for tomorrow. We are either leaving things worse than we found it or better than we found it. So if you're upset about what's happening, the most important thing you can do, and this has nothing to do with giving legal advice, which I can't do, again, the most important thing you can do is to make sure that you're not bringing us down by thinking that you're getting ahead when you cheat someone, or if you know someone who's involved in some sort of scam artist operation, don't associate with people like that. Don't associate with companies like Coinbase. Don't associate with Uber. Uber is a very, very, very dark company. Highly recommend, don't ever give any money to Uber. Stay away. Stop spoon-feeding sugar to cancer cells. These are things you can do. Little changes. If enough of us make these little changes, then suddenly we stop feeding these beasts, these beastly, machines. Don't give any more money to Tesla. All these people are trying to get rid of their Teslas now. I still see them on the street. I kind of make a point of shaking my head. I don't try to impede their lives or anything, but if I see a Tesla, I can't help it. Maybe I had that thing for years. So some of them I see they're like newer. I'm like, man, don't give money to that guy. He's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, in my opinion. long time ago. You know, he's all, he's done too much ketamine or something. You know, it's whacked out a lot bit. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I'm very tired. I need to lie down. So sorry to yawn. But this is more important than me resting, even though I'm really tired and I got an early morning tomorrow. It's more important than putting on a movie on a Friday night or going out to the bar. It's more important because making this, it might outlast this. What I'm doing right now, it might outlast this beating heart. This can last longer. This guy, his words outlive him. Sometimes the choice of the road less traveled here. And I'm not saying I've always chosen this. There have been days where I was tired and I gave in to my fatigue. But the little things, little choices, think a little bit more about other people. Make sure you're not, don't lie like it's like not a big deal, you know? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just lie. It does matter. You actually hurt yourself more than that other person with that lie. You got to live with that. Don't steal. Don't cheat others. Damage your peace of mind. And people see sometimes like they can't sit still. You wonder, well, how do they get like that? Well, there are reasons. Not all of them have to do with these things I just mentioned, but I've been sleeping better since I've been making these videos. I've been more at peace, even though I'm dealing with all this horrible stuff in my life. It feels good to do something about it, so I challenge you today, even if it's just hit subscribe or repost this video somewhere. That's something you can do, at the very least. And if that's too much, that's okay. This is all going the way it's supposed to go. If it wasn't, it would be going some other way. So until next time, thank you for listening to me again. Maybe if you want, all I said just now is too much for you, you could just take a minute, maybe right now when you're done with this, when this video is over, just take a minute, autoplay is on, pause it, or exit out of the application or the web browser. Just close your mind and close your mind. Don't close your mind. Close your eyes and give a moment of respect and reverence for the life of Alexei Navalny. He's one of our greatest champions in the 21st century, who's recently been lost. Lost to us in the land of the living, but who's stood for something more than just looking out for himself. Somebody who understood that numero uno was not this. It was that. It was you. It was our descendants who might come along and hopefully off of what we have suffered through and what our sacrifices, understand the value of principles and convictions, like he said, and help through their own sacrifices, even little ones like I'm suggesting today, help usher in a brighter world, a stronger, loving world of tomorrow, rather than a colder, darker one like we're starting to see is really, really where we're living now. Where now America American citizens might soon have to start worrying about being shipped off to a prison in another country without any semblance of due process. And lawyers that I'm facing are trying to already trample on my rights of due process, paint themselves as the victims. Yeah, good luck and sweet life, Coinbase and Bowman Croup Bossy Law Firm is what the name of their lawyer's firm that isn't on Google Maps. They don't understand. They don't understand. If they did, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. I like to say, I'll leave you with this. This is a little turn of phrase of mine that I've invented. If they knew better, they would do better, but they don't, so they won't. But we do, some of us, so let's choose to do better. Peace and love to you all. I will see you again very soon. Oh my goodness, this is over an hour? Really? Well, I guess I'm channeling Mr. Hakeem Jeffries today. Just spoke apparently for, was it 25 hours or 27 hours on the Senate floor? That's a long speech. This is an hour and 6 minutes. Well, I don't expect anybody to watch this, but I think I might just go ahead and post this one because why not? Needs to be said. I'll see you all again soon. Thanks, and where did my American flag go here? Nose is going at it again. I hope that you take something away from this and that maybe something you choose to do a little bit differently tomorrow or the next day, you might see a little bit of the ripples of that act of kindness. Sometimes we can see them. Maybe it might surprise you. Maybe it might little baby light bulb going on somewhere. Like, wow, one person can actually make a difference here. That's something I learned at the beginning of this time of my life where I've been on the battlefield about 7 years ago Sunday, actually. 7 years ago today. Wow, it was 7 years ago today. I can't officially talk about that, but that's pretty interesting. And where I began talking about serendipity, I didn't even think about it. It was 7 years ago today. This is the first time I really actually did battle. 7 years ago, exactly today. And then 7 years ago Sunday, there was a miracle. And I did get to see ripples, big ripples. And I mentioned this only in passing once before, I think, just because I walk right up to the line of my word that was given, because I'm very, 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 very reasonable. I have very, very good reason to be certain that what I asked, to have stop happening is still happening. Even if it stopped for a short time. You just have so many sick and poorly educated people now. We gotta start talking about it, guys. We gotta start doing a little bit more, each of us. Spend a little bit less time with the reality TV, maybe. Or maybe not. Do what feels right. Feels right for me to be talking about this, even if it's an hour and 10 minutes. I'll see you again soon. And you can count on that. I'll keep going as long as I can, as much as I can. Peace be with you all. Good night for now.